119, 111. Win the games you are supposed to win. And that was the case tonight. And that will be the case tomorrow night as the Kings game got a little tight there in the fourth, but
It
the Kings
did.
then went on that run and they win by 8 thanks to free throws.
They did indeed. I think Jerry Reynolds and I split it. He had 111 for the Pelicans. I had 119 for the Kings.
Oh, nice.
We kind of know what we're doing here. The Kings guaranteed to be at least 500.
Yeah.
Coming into the All-Star break. You got to like that, Grant. A little bit harder than it probably should have been, though, tonight.
Yeah. And Zion Williamson won't play tomorrow in all likelihood. That's not official. But, can you imagine, like, I'm just mystified by this. This is, again, what's bad for the league.
Right.
You can't play the guy 30 minutes. He can't play 30 minutes. So he plays 28 minutes. Doesn't matter what the score of the game is. Nothing matters other than minute restrictions. And it's just like, how can an organization move forward with a guy like this?
Well, according to him, it's the organization's call. And you never know how that works. And I know there were comments tonight about, well, they're trying to make a playoff push. No, they're not trying to make a playoff push, but they're trying to.
Who's trying to make a playoff push?
The Pelicans.
The Pelicans trying to make a playoff push? Whoever said that, did they realize they have 12 wins?
Possibly. But anyways, I think you're trying to preserve your asset, Grant, because if you're New Orleans, what are you going to do? I guess, do you run it back with the group and hope that they get on the court for the first time together? DeJounte Murray's not going to be there for the start of the season. So I feel like
we don't know that yet.
It would be it would be surprising if he was back for the start of the season. Would you agree with that?
The advent of Achilles surgeries now are different. So we'll see. But here's the bottom line. And we'll talk about the Kings here for most of this show. The Pelicans should not be in New Orleans. New Orleans does not deserve an NBA team. New Orleans should not have an NBA team. You got Vegas and number 1 Seattle. And the fact that the NBA continues to have this horrible team, even when, they weren't horrible last year, but horrible fan base in a city that does not care about basketball. It is a football city. It's all Saints and LSU Tigers and college football. They don't give a damn about basketball with the exception of maybe 5,000 hardcore fans. Move the team, would you please?
Why wouldn't ownership want to move the team, Grant?
Because the Benson family is New Orleans thick and through. And when Tom Benson died and his wife became the owner, they are all about New Orleans. That's why.
Okay. I was thinking during this game, if you're somebody like CJ McCollum, if you're somebody like Zion, it's got to be depressing playing 41 games in that building. It's got to be difficult.
Wow. 119, 111, as the Kings do get the win. They're 2 games over 500. That should grow to 3 games tomorrow. Again, I just can't see the Kings losing tomorrow, regardless of whether Zion Williamson plays or not. And he doesn't play back-to-backs. He was questionable with minutes management for tonight. He was questionable when the sun rose this morning.
Yes, he was. He was indeed. Look, it's, I think, a going thing for him. I think it's more complicated than the Pelicans lead on. Look, with Luka and everything that was going on behind the scenes there, Zion's not too far removed, at least from the body issues. Not sure about locker room, et cetera, Grant.
Yeah, I don't know either. But again, the Kings win. Zach LaVine still having trouble shooting the ball, but he didn't have any trouble from the foul line as he was a perfect of 11 of 11. But, this guy's a good 3-point shooter. And since coming to the Kings, he can't put the ball in the ocean from beyond the circle.
I've watched a lot of tape on him, and he's got that lean where he's almost, and it seems more exaggerated right now in Sacramento. He's fading back as he's shooting that 3-point ball. And I don't know if that's a natural part of his game or something to watch, but creating that space is not coming naturally in Sacramento. I think Jerry put it well at halftime.
Somebody said Tom Benson died in 2018. Did you hear what I said? Did you hear what I said?
They were just giving you the ear. They were giving you the ear, Napes. They were trying to pick you up. Essie, what's going on tonight?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hello.
I I just wanted to say, what I refrained from saying this the past couple of post-game shows, but why does it feel like Zach LaVine, especially early on in every game, he's basically trying to be like a a cheap version of Lonzo Ball making these crazy passes that turn into turnovers. I really, really don't understand why he's trying to do that. And I get it's, it takes time for him to kind of fit in the team and whatnot. But I just wish he would sort of just try to remain as a scorer and not much of a distributor, because I think he's getting most of his turnovers trying to, throw crazy passes into Sabonis, or go for a layup or something. Take it in the paint, jump, and then try to make a Hail Mary pass to someone who's open. Like, he's just not that guy. The other thing I wanted to say is Keon Ellis. Listen, if there's any any more debate on whether he should actually start, uh, for me, in my mind, that debate's over tonight. What he did, and this is him coming off the bench. Imagine if he was a starter. So yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say about tonight's game. Oh, one more thing. I know you guys aren't big fans of Katie Christensen and some of the what she says about the refs, but for me it was when she and I can't remember who in our team was I think it was Valanciunas was shooting the free throws, and she's like, look at him, he's no, it was Larabia when he was shooting the two free throws and he missed both of them. I mean, if that's not an announcer's jinx, I don't know what is. Thanks, guys.
Well, you can't blame that on the announcer. 119 to 111. The Kings now 2 games over 500. And thank goodness they got the Pelicans again tomorrow. And I said that at halftime. I don't think the Kings would have beat a lot of teams tonight. I'm telling you, I think it's great they played New Orleans. I don't think they would have won against good teams tonight, unless they're just coasting, which could be. They may be playing to the level of their competition, which we've seen in the past. And tomorrow they cannot have a misstep tomorrow. Tomorrow is an absolute, you've got to win this game tomorrow. Ryan, the microphone.
I said, no doubt, Grant. The turnovers, they cleaned up in the second half, but that's something that's going to get you in a big hole against much better teams. When you come out in the first quarter, I think it was 8 turnovers for 9 points that they gave up to the Pelicans.
Yes.
Way too much. And as for Essie saying Keon in the starting lineup, here's the one thing that nobody's saying when we talk about that or have that conversation. Would he get forgotten like Keegan Murray? I worry about that sometimes. So you got to think about the other side of it. Let's go back to the phones. Dirk, what's up tonight, Dirk?
Hey, guys. I was going to be real upset if they blew this Keon Ellis performance. Like, oh my gosh, he was amazing this whole game. Man, I really wonder what this team would look like had they pilfered Chris Paul from San Antonio in this trade.
I agree.
Yeah, you know what? I haven't even thought about that.
I completely agree.
They'd be a lot better.
Yeah, and man, there's obviously some real value to have a weak schedule right after the trade deadline, especially with this unit that's still trying to work things out. But man, it feels like they're starting to regress a little bit defensively. Not to say their performance have been good, but these ticky-tack fouls. Monk is gambling again. Sabonis needs to. I get he has a backup, but we still need him playing the same way he's been playing defense up until this point, just so we can contest some things at the rim. But I'm with you, Grant. We're really lucky we're playing this team right now, and they're not figuring it out fast enough.
Well,
that's the scary thing, and there's a lot of I've heard some negative things about Zach LaVine and his ability to kind of get with the system, not in any reputable sources, but it feels like this is going to be either a slow growth or we're just going to idle at this type of play.
Well, when the calendar turns to March, fasten your seatbelts, because Murderers Row is coming into Sacramento, and the team that I've been watching since the trade, they won't win a game against that team. Those teams, if they play like this, they will lose every game.
Yeah, we shall see. That's all I got.
Appreciate you, Dirk.
Have a good one.
Yeah, actually, Grant, I'm going to bring up the whiteboard really quick, because everything Dirk says and everything that you are saying, I want to visualize for many of the viewers. Tonight, you saw New Orleans just getting completely downhill on the Kings. We were talking about Zach LaVine's struggles to share the ball offensively. Defensively, Zach is not quite there yet with whatever this scheme is that Doug's running. Jose Alvarado, he is just coming piping hot right down this lane. Zach does not even come over to dig. That's usually a fundamental thing in almost every single NBA system, to at least squeeze a little bit as long as you can see man and ball right there. So that was one big problem that I saw tonight, and it was consistent. This was the bigger problem that we saw. And by the way, Trey Lyles, Grant, taking that charge on Zion Williamson.
Oh boy.
Oh boy, that's a big charge. Here's the other problem, and what Dirk's talking about. This is how the Kings are playing the pick and roll. Look, Keegan is coming off of that pick, but look at where Domas Sabonis is. That is way, way too low, unfortunately, especially when you have a guard like Alvarado. You've got guys like Zion that are coming piping down the lane, not to mention Domas is not athletic enough to close this gap effectively. You either need to be right up here hedging, or you need to be all the way back and allowing Levine to come pinch in to a degree. And so the pick and roll defense on the worst team in the NBA in the Western Conference, if it's this bad and guys are getting
Terrible.
to the way they did, like you said, Grant, this is going to be impossible against your Bostons, against your Oklahoma Cities. It's got to be cleaned up, and I'm hoping, as everybody's saying, with practice time, that will ultimately clean it up.
Yeah, it has to, because you are not going to beat the better teams in the league playing defense like that. New Works Plumbing, they've got a fix for you. They are available around the clock 24/7 for all of your plumbing needs and repairs. They're awesome. Appreciate everyone that has reached out to me when they've used New Works Plumbing and talk about how good they have been. I pass that along, and they certainly appreciate that. New Works Plumbing, they've got a fix for you. Your plumbing needs and repairs, make sure you keep in mind New Works Plumbing. Don't forget about Sunrise Landing in Colusa. You go to ColusaSunrise.com. You can check out everything that Blazona Development has made out there with this beautiful new development. You have beautiful models, 6 in all. No Mellorews, which is nice, and no homeowners. So think about that. That's a big savings right there, and it's in a great area adjacent to the Colusa Golf and Country Club. And hey, guess what, folks? It's easy to get to. I-5, Highway 45, Highway 20. It's all there for you at ColusaSunrise.com and beautiful Sunrise Landing. Kings win it 119-111. Now 2 games over 500 with the rematch tomorrow, and do not expect to see Zion Williamson on the floor.
Yeah, it looks like something is breaking right now. The chat's going nuts about Shams. Louis says he has information on it. Louis, what's up?
Yo, we just signed Markelle Fultz.
Oh my God, Markelle Fultz is terrible.
That's all I got for you guys.
Appreciate it, Louis.
I'm going to get excited about Markelle Fultz. Seriously, I'd rather have Isaiah Thomas.
Oh man,
Markelle Fultz is terrible.
Interesting. Let me digest that for a second. Let's
Markelle
go.
Fultz. Markelle Fultz is awful.
I got to think about his recent stops. Ralph, what's up tonight?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Well, from what I remember, and I'm just looking at I know this is just looking at his stats, and I do remember him 2 years ago, because he has been injured, Markelle Fultz, improving a little bit, but he got lost in the shuffle with Jalen Suggs and all that. I mean, if he can be in a bench role and be okay, and I don't remember him being a great shooter, but distributing the ball and everything, I think Fultz can be okay in a backup role. At least take off the pressure from Monk. I mentioned this on that last call, because it's a lot on Monk. So if we can have somebody else and not be Levine or Keon Ellis be the de facto guy, I'm hoping. I think Fultz can at least handle the ball from the backup spot. And he's shown at times to play okay defense, but he can't shoot the ball at all. I know that for sure. Him from perimeter is not going to look good for him shooting from 3. I think
that's not why you're bringing him in.
Yeah, definitely not. 22% last year, and 31% was his best. Yikes. But yeah,
I can't play. There's a reason why he was available. That doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah. I want to go with some positives. I think definitely from this game is having Valanciunas. Man, I know he knows the Pelicans really well, but it's good having a backup big who has good hands, who can defend, and And then now you
You know
give
what he's
like
going to do? He plays the same every night. You don't have to worry as a coach what you're going to get from Jonas Valanciunas. He plays the same way every game.
yeah, and you're not holding your breath when Valanciunas gets into foul trouble. And I think you mentioned that before too. Jonas also gets into foul trouble a lot too, where he fouled out the other game. So you have got two guys fouling, but hopefully you don't get to that point where you have to go to the third string. But it's nice to have somebody who can rim protect. So that's where I'm feeling a little bit more optimistic about this season, is definitely the bench. I think when you go to the bench and you stagger those minutes with Levine, and I think Levine played with a lot of the bench guys, it looks a lot better. But Levine's defense needs to be better in the pick and roll. And then also with there were a few plays where I was like, okay, Levine came up and helped protect the rim a little bit with his help side, but there's a lot of times it doesn't look good.
He'll do that on the backside. When he's on the perimeter, though, he looks kind of lost. He gets turned around, especially if the ball is not with his man. But again, he's not known for his defense. Transition, I think he's been good. I'm more worried, Grant, about the offensive decision-making with the basketball.
It's been bad, hasn't it?
Yes, it has not been good.
It's been bad. It has been bad.
So do you think it's going to help or hurt us and then also Levine to come out first and play with the bench? Do you think that's going to help him get in the rhythm faster? Or you think it would be better suited in the long run and for Levine to stick with the guy and maybe DeRozan come off first out of the five?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
I'd say DeRozan personally, but I don't know until I see it. But that's a very good question.
Yeah, I lean towards DeRozan for this reason. Pace, if they really want to get up and down, I think Zach is the better fit there. I think it allows you to do a little bit more, even though we're talking about some defensive issues. He does a little bit more for switching on the perimeter than DeRozan can do. But it's the $1 million debate here in Sacktown, Ralph.
Yeah, and I think the bigger question is, not having Keon Ellis start, let alone having who's going to come out first. I think you have to, at some point, you got to start with defense. You can't have sub average defenders starting the game. This Keon Ellis has to start. He's too good. Even we saw this from when Fox was still on the team, when he was out, how good the team played when Keon Ellis started. This is, sooner rather than later, hopefully.
Hey, appreciate you, Ralph. Thanks for calling back. Always a good caller. Okay, so Napes, here you go. Markelle Fultz on his way per Shams to Sacramento. His agent confirms his last 2 years in the league, 43 games played for Orlando last year. He averaged 21.2 minutes per game. I'm looking at the assists, 2.8 assists, 1 turnover. The year before that, he played 60 games for Orlando, and he averaged 5.7 assists to 1.5 turnovers, 14 points a game that year as well. It's better than nothing, Grant.
Yeah, it is better than nothing. You got to try it. You got to try it. Absolutely. It is better than nothing. Worst thing you can do, it doesn't work, and then you cut them.
100%. The front office is seeing the same thing we're seeing. The coaching staff is seeing the same thing. So when I say we, I mean all of us as a Kings community. So we'll see how it works out. The question becomes, can he stay on the court?
Can he stay on the floor? Again, you might as well try it. At least the guy is a natural point guard. That's the one thing I will say about him.
No doubt. Hey, in the NFL, second chances have worked out. Third chances have worked out.
This is like the 7th chance for him.
I know. It is. It is indeed. Sacramento is not Philadelphia, though. So we'll see how it ends up working out. Zach, what's going on tonight?
How you guys doing today?
Zach, what's up, buddy?
Just want to talk about the game here.
Zach, who do the Kings play tomorrow?
We're playing the same team.
Okay.
Which is?
We're playing the Pelicans. We got Golden State. We got Charlotte. We got all these teams coming up. So I think I started memorizing the whole schedule from here on out.
Good man.
But it was it's a sloppy win. I think it's just sloppy is the way to describe the game. Just the shot selection. I mean, Zach's chucking up like 30-foot 3-pointers. And it's kind of his game, I guess. But I mean, the shot selection is a little bit worrisome for sustainability wise when we're playing the good teams and stuff like that. I do like that we're shooting a lot more threes. I think we shot like 45 today, and we're shooting pretty well. We've been shooting a little bit better as of late. So I kind of like seeing that. It's just crazy that like we shoot all these threes and we're making them, but like Keegan Murray's not part of this whole thing. Like he's 1 for 5.
Yep.
He only took 5 shots. He's still not making them. One thing that popped out of the stat sheet, he had 5 assists, which is the most he's had this year in a game. So that's kind of interesting. Maybe I don't know if he's seen the game a little bit better, but that was good. And about Fultz, I mean, like you guys are saying, it's a flyer. He can play defense. He's very long, so I like that about him. I think he has like a 6'9" wingspan or something. So I like that about him.
Good. Maybe he can fly and have a air taxi business. That's good.
Well, it's tough because our defense is so bad. Everyone goes inside on us. Sabonis is not going to do anything, so we got to get.
No, you're right. If he can keep the man in front of him, that would be a big advantage. I totally agree with you. I'm just messing with you. If he can keep the man in front of you, that'd be a big improvement from what we're seeing now, with the exception of Keon Ellis.
Right. Yeah, because everyone's getting past everybody.
Yes.
And Sabonis is just getting foul trouble like crazy, getting fouled out all the time. That has to do with the perimeter defense.
Yeah, 100%. It starts on the perimeter, and Fultz is actually got a decent build. You talk about his length. If we're going to be blowing up pick and rolls and you're going to put some pressure on guys, I think that can work, again, if he can stay on the floor.
Right. I think some spot minutes for him is decent. I mean, he's going to be left open almost all the time in the game, so they're going to give him a ton of space. So it'll be interesting. I mean, it's not bad for a depth flyer, but I want to get your guys' opinion on this. Let's just say, everything pans out and we get the 8th seed. We always talk about assets. We don't have that many good assets and stuff like that to improve our team. And if we make the 8th seed, we will lose our pick. Is it worth it to be swept or go 4-1 against the OKC Thunder? Is it just like a team morale thing? We got to the players just got to feel at the playoffs again, and maybe that'll like build off the momentum even though we lose the pick. I mean, is it bittersweet? What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Oh, if you can be a top 8 team, it doesn't matter whether you get swept or you win the series. You got to do it. I mean, you have to. I mean, you look at 48 wins and 46 wins, playoff as a 3 seed. Last year, no playoff. This franchise with this group of players and the age, it's not a young team. They need to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, my understanding from the people that I've talked to is this front office is under the impression that pick is going to convey, and they're already looking at other options with the picks they have now if they want to try to get back up. But the play-in seems to be the route that they're targeting, and definitely trying to at least get to a 7-game series.
And you want to be 7-8. You don't want to be 9-10 for obvious reasons.
Right, and you never know. There's always a chance of injuries or something like that, and Kings could take advantage of it. You never know. But yeah, that'll be good if we can somehow make the playoffs. And as far as assets or as far as improving this team, what do you guys see in the offseason to do that?
Hey, Zach, I don't mean to jump on your ass. We can't talk about the offseason when the Kings are fighting to get into the dance. We'll talk about the offseason when the Kings are either eliminated or the season ends. Right now, on February 12th, we can't be talking about the offseason. We just can't, Zach. There's too much going on right now.
I just want the Kings to be back at the top 3 and seed again, man. It's just I'm hungry to be at the top. I'm hungry. I'm hungry for some good teams.
Well, you know what?
Zach.
I don't know what to tell you, Zach.
I do. Zach, get to Bennett's Restaurants. 3 locations here in the greater Sacramento area. Prime cuts of seafood and steak. Rockland, Roseville, Howe, and Fair Oaks. You can go check out all of their wonderful specials. I love the New York Prime, Grant, Redfish. Can't go wrong either. No. Happy hour, 2 to 6 o'clock every single day. One of our family favorites. Weekend brunch, 11 to 2 p.m. on the weekends. All 3 locations, in addition to a bunch of more specials that run through the week and weekend, like prime rib. They have got just about anything you can think of, and they do it better than anybody else we know. Thank you for all of your support there. We get the feedback from Brian. Go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com to learn more about their locations, menus, specials, and much more. Thank you to them for sponsoring tonight in part here on the Postgame Show. So get to Bennett, Zach.
I'll just play. Let's enjoy this season. Let's try to make the playoffs, and anything could happen. So let's see what happens.
See you, buddy. Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Really quick, I just want to acknowledge these because the chat has been flying by. Jose left a $4.99 super chat. Thank you very much for that. His question for you was related to the broadcast. Is it normal for the broadcast to show a bunch of replays that seem old and they're not addressed by the announcers?
Well, all replays need to be addressed by the announcers, so I can't comment on what was shown. As far as replays being old, if they're relevant to what is going on now because it describes a pattern or something of that magnitude, it is fine. But you need analysis so that you can be told what it is that you're watching, but more importantly, why they're showing it.
There you go. And thank you very much for the other super chat. Missed the name because the chat is going so
Yeah.
quick. We really appreciate it.
Hey, I want to
yeah,
pass on a very, very special 50th birthday celebration and a happy birthday to one of the most popular Sacramento Kings of all time, and a guy that has had just an amazing year, and that's Scott Pollard, who is now 4 days away from his 1-year anniversary of getting his new heart from Casey Angel. That's right. His last name was Angel.
Angel.
And because of Casey's family and their willingness for Casey to become a donor, Scott Pollard is alive today, and he's celebrating his 50th birthday. So it is, without question, a very, very special birthday for one of the most popular Kings and one of the great guys that I've ever met. Scott Pollard is just like, he's top shelf in my life. And so everyone, wish Scott a happy birthday, would you please?
And do it with one T behind
Yes.
Scott.
Oh, you'll actually aggravate his new heart if you put 2 T's. So 1 T. Nothing upsets Scott more than misspelling his name.
Happy birthday, big guy. So happy for you. And he got his son this year too. Remember
Ozzy, he's going to play college football at Marion in Indiana, and then he'll probably play there a year and then transfer. But he's unfortunately tore his ACL in the middle of his senior football season, but he's doing well. He's rehabbing well, and they're very excited in the Pollard household.
Very cool. Thank you for the super chat. Do you guys know if Fultz is in shape? My assumption would be he's in somewhat decent shape if the Kings are signing him. Usually those guys stay in shape, Grant.
I would think he's in shape. Yeah. Is he in basketball shape? Where I don't know, but he's not going to be playing a lot of minutes anyway.
Yeah, it's hard to be in NBA shape if you're not in
exactly
the NBA.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's go back to the phones. Andy, light the beam, buddy.
What's up, Ryan? I called yesterday and I asked you the Mount Rushmore question, the WWE wrestlers, and that turned into a whole wrestling podcast. That was funny. I just had a question on regarding Fultz. One, do you guys think he's going to be a part of the rotation at all, is he just like kind of like a backup?
No, he's going to be part of the rotation. He will be the backup point guard until he shows that he can't do it.
Okay, perfect. So that leads to my next one. So being that he is going to be part of the rotation, like how do you see the minutes being staggered and like the rotations?
Way too premature. I think that we just have to wait and see. Based on his recent body of work, I would think that his minutes would be fewer rather than more. But Doug will probably go by how he's playing. I'm not expecting a lot from Markelle Fultz based on his body of work. He is what he is. And I think that, here's the one thing I will say, and I don't say this to be mean. I don't say this to piss people off. The biggest fault that the Sacramento Kings fans have always had, and maybe it's not a fault, maybe it's because they love their team so much. Kings fans have a tendency to overvalue players that come into their organization. Like when Doug McDermott was signed, I had to calm people down, right? LaRavia, I thought that the Kings had just signed, the next Jerry West or somebody. It's like, put the brakes on because, calm down. You don't need, I believe that 98% of Kings fans had never heard of LaRavia before. I mean that. And then all of a sudden he's acquired in a deal and everyone thinks this guy's going to be an all-star. You know, put the brakes on a little bit. Just have a little bit of patience and don't overvalue players that come in because they have a name or because they were on a good team. Just give it a chance. You know, I mean, Markelle Fultz, the fact that he was the number 1 overall pick in the draft doesn't mean anything. Marvin Bagley was the number 2 pick in the draft. Hashim Thabit was the number 2 pick in the draft. I mean, I can go on and on and on, right? Josh Jackson of the Phoenix Suns taken 1 ahead of De'Aaron Fox at number 4. He was terrible, awful. Again, it doesn't matter where you're taken in the draft. Isaiah Thomas was taken 60th, and he's 20 times better than all the players that I just mentioned. You either can play or you can't play. And unfortunately, for Markelle Fultz, there's a reason why he has not been able to stick with the team. There's a reason why he's available in the middle of February. Maybe he can help Sacramento, but I think you got to just put the brakes on a little bit here.
Yeah, no, go ahead, Ryno.
No, go ahead, Addy.
I was just gonna say, like, I wasn't expecting him to like come in and like make a huge difference. I was more wondering because Malik comes out around that 6-minute mark and Keon goes in for him essentially.
That
I was
won't
just
change.
I was just wondering, like, when you guys think Markelle, like, who would he be going in for? And, like, because we're already kind of crowded at the guard position with Levine, DeRozan, Malik, Keon. I was just wondering, like, maybe where would he fit in the rotation?
My presumption, if you go off of, I'm thinking Markelle takes Devin Carter's minutes. Think about how Devin Carter used to play. It would be end of the first quarter, early second quarter, and it would be a 3-4 minute stint. Those are going to be Markelle Fultz minutes. And on the flip side, should it work out, Grant, Devin gets to stay in Stockton where he belongs.
That's correct. And there's no risk to having Markelle Fultz. Like, there's no risk. But this probably means we're not going to see Devin Carter until next year.
No problem here,
right?
No problem here.
Yeah,
I mean that. I mean that with respect. You need somebody that can handle the ball. Fultz can do that. If Fultz
can handle the ball, he can handle the ball. There's no doubt about that. This guy can handle the ball. That's the one thing he can do. I don't even have to see him play. I know he can handle the ball.
That's what this team is missing.
But there's more to, and Ryan, I know I'm telling the obvious. There's a lot more to playing basketball than being able to handle the ball from a guard.
Totally. There's a long list of things, but I guess defense goes ahead of that. But I'm putting him handling the ball and playmaking over scoring. You don't need Markelle Fultz to score.
No question.
You need him to spread the floor.
No question.
And get other guys opportunities. Here's another thing he does well. He sets screens well. I remember that. So if that can work both ways and you can get mismatches, cross matches, stays healthy, could be a decent fit.
Again, there's no risk to it. I'm not a Markelle Fultz guy. I'm not like excited, but I see it from Monty McNair's perspective. It can't hurt you. Like, if it doesn't work, then you say goodbye.
Totally.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you. That's all I had for today.
Yep, you got it, Andy. The Kings, Grant, make 11 of 12 free throws in the fourth quarter to seal this one. Jake LaRavia, he was struggling from the line tonight. He was 0 for 4.
That's unusual for him because he's such a good shooter.
Yeah, I guess he was out early trying to get that worked out. Let's go to Robinese. What's going on? You're on mute.
We've got to turn your mic on, buddy.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
There we go. How are you? Thanks for calling the show.
Hey, thank you guys. Thank you guys. Hey, Grant, first off, you are right. Us Kings fans, we're like freaking dogs, right? We're just loyal just because, we're loyal just goddamn because, and you know. And Grant, you said something right. We do need to hold our break for the mic with Fultz. We have to see how it works. But my thing is this: I want to go back to what you've been saying early in the year. With this move being made right now, 2 questions. One, how would you grade Monty McNair before the season's over? Right, that's first question. Right. Second question is why? Okay, so we wanted Mark Jackson. We got Mike Brown. Why can't the Kings play defense? Is it really just because of effort, or is it the mentality of thinking about my job and I know that points create profit? So those are my two questions. And the
Okay.
last statement, I get out of here. Um, we do have a backup guard, which we needed out of the blue because we needed a damn wing first, right? And we needed a backup big. I just want you to think, what would you do if you had to restart this season over to now? What changes you would have made with
That's a
everything
great
you know
question.
now? And I
Thank you very
appreciate
much.
the call, guys.
I
Thank you.
appreciate you. Your questions are great. I'll take the first part, and I'll let Ryan add on and then get to the second part.
Yep.
Based on today, February 12th, I would give Monte McNair a D or an F. And the reason for that is he signed his coach to a big-time extension in the offseason, and then only a few months later fired him. Okay? It's a $30 million mistake. He gave Mike Brown, who he fired.
He signed his
Well,
coach.
Okay, but I'm only going by what Monte McNair has told everybody.
That's fair. Okay.
Okay. So if I say anything different, then I'm basically accusing Monte McNair of being a liar. So I'm not going to do that. All right.
Fair enough.
He also gave Mike Brown and now Doug Christie a subpar bench to compete. That's number 2. Number 3, in an era where the most important aspect in the NBA is three-point shooting, the Kings are a dreadful three-point shooting team. So for those reasons, right now, without having a crystal ball and without being able to predict the future, I've got to give Monty a D- or an F.
Would you include the draft pick in this year? Devin Carter?
I would, but I also have been down this road before. And I think when we talk about Kings fans expecting too much, we are talking about a player out of Providence that had no summer league, no training camp, and very limited time to acclimate himself to joining a team in the middle of the season. And so for those reasons, I'm not ready to just slam Monte McNair and say it was an awful draft pick. I have my reservations because offensively, he looks very limited, and I don't see that shot all of a sudden, looking like a Scotty Scheffler golf swing. You know what I mean?
Sure.
That concerns me. That concerns me. But Ryan, to be fair, I've got to give him time. I've got to give him an off-season, Ryno. I've got to give him a summer league. I got to give him a training camp. And then, listen, if we're having the same conversation at the All-Star break next year, then I'll say, you know what, it was a bad draft pick.
Okay, but let's take Devin's name out of it, and let's just say drafting at that position, drafting another guard. How does that swing it?
It's not good, especially when you have Dalton Knecht sitting there, who would have fit a huge need and has played very well for the Lakers.
Yeah, I give Monty a C. I'm not going to go to a D or an F. He made moves at the deadline. I liked that, but I could not give him more than a C for one, because he's drafted a guard, again, that's not a point guard, that is not a 2 guard, somewhere in the middle. And the one thing that has not been addressed at all, and maybe it has, it started to, and that's why I lean towards a C, is every player in your starting lineup is playing out of position.
Whose fault is that?
That's the GM's fault.
Yes.
That is completely on the GM. The coach has to cook with the goods that he is given, unless he has say, and he is part of that process. So a C for sure. And maybe these are the steps to correct it. You go get Valanciunas. Great. Excellent move.
Pickup. Excellent.
Great move.
Yes.
Exactly what you needed. Fultz, maybe it will end up being a good move. It's the right move for the position.
There's no risk.
A point guard.
No risk. Right? There's no risk.
None whatsoever. But, I guess, yeah, you do have to go by what Monty says. But, yeah, I got you. I see what you're saying. I could go into more detail.
Well,
I don't want to. But
I know what the real story is, but I'm also going by what Monty McNair has publicly said. And let's
that's
also
why
say he was asked 2 weeks ago at the press conference with Zach LaVine about the firing of Mike Brown, and he said it was my decision.
He did. You know, there's been a lot of talks that those two weren't on the same page, dating back to last year, Napes.
I understand. It's very obvious that they weren't, or else Mike Brown would still be coaching.
Correct. So there's
Who's
a whole.
Name me a general manager and a coach of the Sacramento Kings that's been on the same page. Rick Adelman and Jeff Petrie were on the same page, right?
Right.
I know for a fact that Vlade Divac and Luke Walton were on the same page. Yep. I also know a lot of things that were going on behind the scenes that I'm not allowed to share. That was just a unmanageable situation there, but they were on the same page. But really, there haven't been a lot of coaches and GMs since Rick Adelman and Jeff Petrie that were on the same page.
No, you're spot on. You're absolutely spot on. That's coming off being the general manager of the year. That's coming off of being the unanimous coach of the year, both of them as a partnership. So really interesting stuff. Dirk is back for seconds. What's up, Dirk?
Hey, just with the Markelle Fultz info coming out. Grant, one thing I want to comment on, as you said, that our GM has not got us 3-point shooters. I'm starting to think it's more of our offense that ruins the good shooters we get. Because Jake LaRavia is a 44.6% 3-point shooter this year. Zach LaVine is a 44% 3-point shooter. Kevin Huerter had a reputation of being a great 3-point shooter. Keegan Murray was a 41% 3-point shooter in his first season.
Yeah,
so
you make a good
point. I think it's a little
bit
of the offense ruining our shooting.
I can't dispute the numbers that you're telling us. You make some very good points, Dirk.
And then just Markelle Fultz, looking at, I consulted the analytics machine, which is Google's new AI response, when you Google something. But his strengths are highlighted as being an efficient scorer from mid-range. He's athletic and can finish above the rim. And he's good in the pick and roll, especially out of 1-5 pick and rolls as a playmaker and passing out of that. So he's an excellent passer. Now, that's Google telling us that.
All right, here's the Grant Napier analytics on Markelle Fultz. Huge bust, one of the worst number 1 picks in NBA history, has underachieved in every single team he has played for, unemployed until this evening at about 7 o'clock. That's what my analytics say.
That's all true. I would agree with you there. But when you are now a backup point guard expected to play 10 minutes a night,
it might be good. It might be.
And consider this, Grant. So one of the names out there, I was, saying, could the Kings get maybe Reggie Jackson? Whose player efficiency rating do you think is higher between Reggie Jackson and Markelle Fultz?
Reggie to me is a dead horse. That's how Reggie doesn't do anything for me.
But we're shopping for dead horses right now, right? So we're in the dead horse market. So what's the best thing available?
Maybe we should call up Haunted Horse, see if he's available.
I don't want to talk wrestling, so I'm good there. I'll lean on your side there. But this is a low-key good pickup. I think we're going to be satisfied with this pickup for what he's going to give this team. He's not going to have high expectations of shooting the ball. We need playmaking. He's got the size, 6'4", 6'9" reach. I think this is going to be a good thing for this team. And that's where I'll end it.
Well, again, Dirk, and thank you very much for the call. There's no risk.
For Reggie Jackson, it's not hard to look great when you're playing with SGA.
Oh my God, are you kidding me?
Jalen Williams.
Well, guess what? It's not. It's pretty well, and guess what? It's pretty easy to get 4 and 5 assists if you're playing with Paolo Banchero of the Orlando Magic.
Yeah, it's a very good point too. Let's kick it to Joe. Hello, Joe.
Hey, what's up, guys? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
How you guys doing?
How are you?
Pretty good. Gosh, I was looking at the offensive stats, and we've talked about it before. I called in a couple games. Murray only
Sorry,
6
buddy.
points. How do you think we can get Keegan Murray involved a little more?
Well, we've been talking about this almost on every post-game show, haven't we, Ryan?
Yeah, 100%. You have to draw up plays for Keegan Murray. There's no other way. The Kings have tried to put him in a couple of pick and roll sets that have not ended well. The ball's gotten picked. You know, you do have to, for as much as people are getting on Keegan, he's been trying to get himself involved. He is one of the only Kings besides Sabonis and now Valanciunas that consistently crash the offensive rebounds and create opportunities, and throw LaRavia in there too. He's been doing that on short notice as well. So I feel like, to a degree, outside of Keegan, Grant and Joe, tell me if you feel differently, outside of him missing his open shots, in Keegan Murray's way, he's trying his best to be involved.
Yep.
True. No, yeah, and he's definitely the best on-ball defender. I'm worried about the Kings' defense, especially from the three-point line. Do you guys think that will get better?
No, it's getting worse. They got it down to 22nd in percentage, 21st in attempts, and now you're back up to 29th, which is second worst in the NBA, guarding the three-point line.
It is terrible, and I mean, like Grant said, this is the worst team in the West, and we're giving up threes.
Well, they only shoot.
Crazy to me.
They're like 23rd or 24th in attempts in the league. So that tells you, there's a lot to it. And Doug Christie needs to. I can't reinforce this enough. You need to be more creative. Last time I checked, Doug Christie is not known for his offensive game. He's known for his defense. So if there is anybody that is qualified to know what works and what doesn't, especially on the perimeter, when you have guards like Keon Ellis, very similar to Doug, not quite the playmaker like Jerry Reynolds says, get creative. More than a 2-3 zone. You got to be able to do it.
Yeah, totally. And gosh, where would this team be without Keon Ellis? Is beyond me. I thought he played excellent tonight. So thank you guys for taking my call. I'll be listening in. Thank you guys.
Appreciate it. I want to get to a rant with Grant. It is brought to you by EDH Motors Automotive Reimagined. And EDH Motors is looking to sell your vehicle. You have a vehicle you want to sell, get a hold of David and Adam. You see the number and the email. They're ready to make you an offer. All right. New vehicle brokerage, consign, sell, trade. And they will also find the perfect ride for you, from economy to exotic. But they really are looking to sell your vehicle right now. So if you have a vehicle you want to sell, get a hold of David and Adam. You also have the website, edhmotors.com. You see it right there, edhmotors.com. Check it out. David and Adam, two guys trying to do something different and better at EDH Motors Automotive Reimagined. Check them out. I got to tell you, I've been saying this for years and years and years. How the NBA continues to allow the Pelicans to stay in New Orleans is horrible. When you've got Seattle, who is begging for a team, Vegas begging for a team, markets that would sell out, markets that would have pizzazz, markets that would be gung-ho, all right? Seattle's number one. To have a Pelicans team, even when they're good, the fans don't care. Can you imagine NBA tickets available for $2? Think about that for a minute. $2 to go to the game tonight. Did you see anybody at the game tonight? It's an embarrassment. The arena's terrible. The city is terrible for basketball. It's a football town. It's the Saints and the LSU Tigers and the SEC. Okay? They don't care about basketball. There have been a few examples of where they got a little bit excited for their basketball team, but those have been few and far between. The league needs to do something, all right? New Orleans does not deserve an NBA franchise. They just don't. Plain and simple, they don't. And that's my rant for tonight. Ryno?
I want to let it marinate a bit.
Adam's going to let it marinate a bit, Grant.
Yeah, well.
He's thinking. He's not sure. He's figuring it out. Should we move him or not?
I mean, it's terrible.
$2 a ticket. That's insane. This day and age.
At one point, Arco was a ghost town too. Arco was never a ghost town. What the hell are you talking about?
They had the consecutive sellout.
Oh, what are you talking about? I mean, stop it with this nonsense.
Come on. Okay. Donald says DC is a player. He knows the game. He's been doing a pretty good job coaching. Look, Donald, I'm not saying Doug's not doing a good job. What I'm saying is there's not that much different than what was going on with Mike Brown.
Correct.
In fact, you would argue that there's actually less going on, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But I'm sorry to break it to everybody. Going to the high-low and playing two bigs together has been in Sacramento like this innovative thing. Oh my gosh. It saved the Kings. Do you know how many teams do that on a nightly basis as part of their sets? And so I was happy he did it. Just needs to do more, I think.
I will say this. Unless Doug's wife or son are watching this program, there's nobody on this stream that knows Doug better than I do. Nobody. I was with him for hours every day. I traveled with him. We went out to dinner almost every night. We were together in a broadcast studio doing a radio show for hours with many minutes of commercials during our program where we would talk. We played golf all the time, not just once in a while, all the time. One thing I will tell you about Doug, and again, I know Doug better than you do. His basketball acumen is very, very, very good. He knows the game. He knows things that I had never thought of before, okay, that he taught me. So the knowledge that he has, I don't have a problem with. The implementation of it, I have a problem with right now. Now, maybe it's lack of experience. Maybe it's because of all the personnel changes, doing things on the fly. I don't know, okay? Knowledge, I'm not worried about. Implementation, coaching decisions, that's the part that I'm a little iffy about.
Yeah, and we're not saying he's doing a bad job. We're just saying you have what would you call this team? Would you call this a good team? An average team?
They're an average team.
Average? Yeah. They're right around 500, 2 games over.
Right.
So all we're saying is if you want this playoff run, if you want a chance at a playoff run, you need more than what you are seeing now. You're seeing with Zach LaVine. It's example number 1. The kid needs some more structure. So I don't mean to put it all on Doug. It's a coaching staff as a whole, but there needs to be some type of between what he is basically saying, I want to teach them how to play instead of teaching them a play, because you have less than 30 games left in the season, Nate.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to get the most out of them. You got to elevate them.
Yeah, absolutely. No question. Hey, don't forget, tomorrow we're going to be doing it at the same time. We got the pregame show at 4, right?
We do. Actually,
no. Are you going to do Kings Court tomorrow and just run it right into the pregame?
Well, I was going to ask you, are we going to do a round table? Because what we can do is a round table, and I'll run the pregame just directly through.
I'm not sure what we could do that. We could do that. We could do that.
Well, either way, we're going to be on the air. So You're either going to have a round table or you're going to have Kings Court.
You know what? Why don't we try doing that at 4:00? Okay.
All right. We'll do the round table at 4:00. That would be
because that would be good. And Jerry can join us if he's free, and because he's part of the round table. I don't want to go a whole hour. I'll turn it over to you to the last 15 or 20 minutes or so you can then talk about your keys to the game and all of that. But yeah, I think that would be fine. Absolutely.
Okay. Great. Awesome. Grayson, what's up, Grayson?
Hey, what's up, y'all? How y'all doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I really want to touch up on your point about LaVine needing some solid key components if we want to make a strong push to the playoffs. I also want to touch on how Grant needs to take off that.
Well, thank goodness we didn't hear the end of that. All right, so tomorrow, 4:00, right here. And this has got to be another win tomorrow, folks. Plain and simple, this has to be another win. And I'm looking forward to hearing what Jerry has to say about Markelle Fultz.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too. And I know PK in the chat, they're all over it. There's a $500 gift card on tomorrow's outcome.
Oh. Wow. Okay.
For Furious Wolf to Bennett's.
Well, without Zion Williamson playing, I can't imagine the Pelicans winning.
I would hope not. Look, this should bolster the team right into the trade or the All-Star break, excuse me. Will the guys, let me ask you just personally, usually will the guys go straight to whatever they're going to do, or will they come back to Sacramento?
Ooh, they'll go right to what they're doing. I've been on, the Kings are almost on the road every single year in the last game of the All-Star break. And sometimes I've been on the team plane with only 2 or 3 people, but total.
Yeah.
I mean, no players, no coaches. Yeah. So it's getaway day, and you got to make sure that everyone is focused for the 2.5 hours. And that's another part about Zion Williamson. If he doesn't play tomorrow, why would you not play tomorrow? He's got 10 days off.
It's a good point. He only played 28 minutes tonight, Napes.
Yeah. So it's a practice that he went through today.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. Well, the Kings are 2 games over 500.
And
can't complain about that. Got to be 3.
You need to be 3. Thanks, everybody. Tomorrow, 4 o'clock, right here on If You Don't Like That. Talk to you. Enjoy your night. Appreciate you. Please thumbs up. Subscribe if you have not already done so. Really appreciate all the people that have taken the time to subscribe to the channel and given us a thumbs up. We greatly appreciate it. So long, everybody. Bye-bye.